Yeah, just very quick change of pace in the stream. God damn it. But yeah, honestly, Butcher's Creek, that is a big potential. I will definitely put that on the survival horror Sunday list for, when January comes around, because god damn it, it is definitely one of those, like, again, I right now am nervous. I will probably have, this is the thing that gets me nightmares to a degree, but I like it because it's like, it's this slow burn horror, like, but yeah, the fact that Who Are You got me more than most horror games, it's just like, yeah. It's again, if you make horror, the key is to understanding what is actually, horrifying. And sometimes something very, very simple like, oh hey, there's you're just in like a very dark corridor and some other human being talks to you. It's just, okay, honestly, that is probably the interesting part, that it's more probably the interesting part that human beings can be more terrifying than, quote unquote inhuman noises. Because I think this is probably the biggest part of, yes, Butcher's Creek got right, because yes, to a big degree, it's like, hey, you're in this underground labyrinth. Okay, there are others there, but there is enough downtime, there's just enough nothing that your brain gets accustomed to being alone, and then the voice acting kicks in, and it's like, who are you? And you're like, fuck, I am not alone, in fact. And that scares. Again, that is scary, but also just kind of really unnerving. And again, the whole system of tapes increasing your max health, but also opening side paths, but you also have to find things like, murder scene in the environment to regain health, is just it's just such a wonderfully layered system. I love it. Hey, Vampopus, I mean, it's a bit late. I've been through the very, very, very scary game. Well, not... Okay, you know what is really unnerving? Also, it's the fucking ponies again! Seriously, when that fucker with the pony skull came, like, why did he have a Hawaiian shirt? At that moment, I was just like... everyone else is like, cargo shirts and other shit, and you're like, okay, yeah, you know what? Appalachian, hillbilly stuff and shit, and I'm like, no. Just fucking Hawaii shirt. And pony skull. Why? Why are you doing this to me, game? Why is it still the fucking pony factory? Also, yes, I know, hell energy brings color to the world, like...
Team Deathmatch. Lethal force authorized.
Everyone is talking about Iron Lung, and I will get to Iron Lung, but also like
3, 2, 1. Eliminate all hostiles.
the whole pony factory, the whole pony factory / squirrel stapler world. That is my shit. It is stupid and I love it. Yeah, no time to shoot some people.
Lethal force utilized. You're on fire, Agent.
So how are you doing in general? A bit of wood. Probably won't do a long time today. Everyone really coming in after I finished the horror game. But how are you all doing? Tell me, by the way, if the sound is all right. Yeah, get assist. Problem is if you're too good and you don't.
I can't condone it, but I get it.
Oh, nice. That is perfect. Let's see what we can get. God damn it. But yeah, it's just kind of wild that I'm like, yeah, okay, that's definitely the first game of 2025 that is on my list. But I think 3rd of January, that is really not long and not far away. That's like 2 more months. Kind of impressed. I played the demo of Butcher's Creek, which is basically it's basically an indie homage to games like Manhunt and Condemned Criminal Origins, and apparently set in the same world as Squirrel Stapler and the Pony Factory, but definitely less weird and more unnerving, because you are in a small fucking corridor and people talk to you sometimes, and then they want to murder you. Ah.
Scanning for hostiles.
Try not to tuck in fire. They can run, but hiding might be a problem.
Yeah, well. Yeah, that's just like, Butcher's Creek will definitely be... I don't think Butcher's Creek will be like a long survival horror thing. Like,
Numbers declining rapidly.
Yeah. It's one of those games, but... honestly, I think Butcher's Creek... Again, I think Butcher's Creek does a bunch of things really well, because like, the moment they talked about... the game reveals how its whole health and... you know, saving system works, I was just like, oh, this is gonna be good, because, okay, for everyone who wasn't there, basically, the basic gist is, to save in Butcher's Creek is, you need to have videotapes, and you go to a TV, put in a videotape, and you save. And it's like, okay, you know what, it's a resource-based saving system like Resident Evil. We all know that, right? There's a bit of survival horror there. Now, the interesting part comes in that every tape you hold you hold increases your max health. So in a game with, you know, melee combat focus and very hard-hitting enemies, well, you're suddenly, you know, not so interested in, you know, just eating out your saves all the time, because that is just directly max health going down the drain. Cool. But then the next twist comes in, because then there are doors with special locks that want you to donate a certain amount of tapes and open side paths with potentially good loot. So, isn't that sweet? Isn't that sweet game design? Because, yeah, saving as a resource, that's good. Saving as a resource that gives that you can use for multiple things, so you have to really make constant decisions of, is this worth to do? That is survival horror distilled. That's how it's supposed to be. Wonderful. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I am just like nervous as shit right now. No, seriously, like, I just realized after I talked and shit, my heart is still racing. I'm like, fuck. It's unsettling, you know, that's the thing. When a horror game is not just, you know, spook and scream. It's just, but it's this really constant keeping you on the edge. It's like, yes, I like that, because actually that's a thing I can play. I love games that commit hard to atmosphere. I mean, it's coming out in 2025, like just 3 days into 2025, but still. It's, you know, oh, by the way, this one is the new, last new map that they added in Season 1. I think I never showed that off in stream, so, you know, time to show off some stuff. But yeah, it's similar to Still Wakes the Deep, when the horror is slow burn, when it really creeps up to you and you're like... Okay, Still Wakes the Deep is more sad, actually, like... I'm actually impressed with the fact that they just, like... You're like, oh hey, yeah, you have a nice slow burn horror, and then the game is just like, and now let's get you back into reality and feel really fucking sad. And you're like, okay, you didn't need to do this, you know? Still Wakes Deep, you didn't need to make me feel that sad. It kind of sucks. Still Wakes Deep is so good, but it's so sad. It's just such a sad ending, like, holy shit. Amazing horror, by the way. Just like, yeah, that's a good ending to a horror game. But yeah, Butcher's Creek is just, As I said, there was this one moment, because you're like in these dark corridors and you don't see a lot, but like the game, and you know there are enemies in there. But like the game knows how to, you know, space out the moments of interactions with enemies, that you get used to the idea of you are alone. And then the game comes along and it just, you know, just from behind, because good audio, you know, good audio technology, someone's just like, who are you? It just really fucking startled me, because, again, inhuman noises, you're prepared for that. Someone just kinda normally, slightly upset, asking you, what are you doing here? Who are you? Like, not even in the over-the-top way, just in the normal way. That's just like... Yeah! That hits differently. Ah. I mean, horror is not for everyone. It's not like, you know, everyone should be playing horror mandatorily. Sometimes it's just not, you know, someone's 40 and that's that. Oh well. Damn it. And yeah, then you have these moments where just like you are like, oh fuck. It's I mean that's probably the best part. There's nowadays a lot of horror without jump scares. I think honestly I dislike jump scares a lot anyway. Like I think the perfect amount of jump scares per horror game is 1. And I'm referring to one of my favorites, aka Squirrel Skater, which has exactly 1 jump scare. And it is a really, really good jump scare. So like, yeah. And you don't need to play the game anymore. So it's perfect. But the thing is that, yeah, there's a lot of horror nowadays that is definitely more slow burning. Like, for example, let's say most Resident Evil games, pretty good actually. Still Wakes Sleep is actually, in my opinion, pretty good because, again, it is that slow burn, but also, yeah, just be ready because Still Wakes Sleep kind of doesn't end in horror. It's just a sad game. It's really just sad. That's what I can say about Still Wakes Sleep. Love it for that though. Like that is really good. Also, like I think the biggest problem is always that I would say, what is horrifying to some, it's sometimes just not horrifying to others. Like for example, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if, you know, Ghostwire Tokyo is actually kind of scary for some people. Now that I think about it, like, yeah, I don't think it is a particularly, you know, a game that tries to be, you know, horrifying. But it is nighttime Shibuya, empty of humans, and you know, I don't want to call it Slenderman, but it's basically off-brand Slendermans walking the streets, so... I can see how that creeps some people out. Well, I know at the school where I went to, there was one girl that had extreme, how's it called? She was extremely afraid of creepers and had to constantly calm her down. Like, yeah, as you probably can imagine, she was neurodivergent, but that's not the point. It's more like what people find creepy is very much based on an individual basis. And sorry, if someone is, you know, autistic, then sometimes a creeper is just their worst nightmare, because for them the creeper might just be around the corner. That's that.
No prisoners, Agent.
Hell, I mean, yes, it is kind of probably the thing implied, but like, you know,
The analysts predict
good example.
winning. Hold on.
So we installed a mod because the devs, I'd say in that case, are just very much, you know, cowardly. And we played, you know, Subnautica. I played together with Dragonia. And the thing is, I don't have a problem with water.
Revenge kill.
I like
A
water.
professional
I was
courtesy.
actually, you know, I was in a swimming club. I did multiple swimming competitions. I'm actually
brass will never
trained
say it, so I
at the
will.
DLRG, so like I know how to rescue people from water. Like, if you are scared of water, I can get you out of the water. I trained for that. Might be a bit rusty, but I did that. So, you know, playing Subnautica was just like, oh, look at all the cool things. But, and you know, mostly, Agonia was also like, oh yeah. And then we got, you know, to that part. Because there's this part of the map where you have to eventually travel that just goes a bit down, 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 and then there's a steep cliff and you do not see the bottom because it goes this much down. And it's very murky and very dark. So I built obviously a giant ass, you know, underwater, you know, station right above it. Because I was like, yeah, you know what, we can just launch our submarines right into the abyss and just dive down and it's gonna be cool. And she was like, yeah, I need to see the abyss though, can you do it? So I did the abyss diving because that was just too much for her. I guess my girlfriend has thalassophobia. I think that's the word for it, right? So, I don't know, I guess water is spooky for some people. And if you're now saying, you're just kinda, you're just oversimplifying the fact people are not afraid of water itself, but you know, the wide openness and uncertainty of not seeing what lies beyond, wrong. They are afraid of water. Water is spooky. They get wet, they are screaming.
That's technically wrong.
Sorry. Don't worry, I can talk absolute dumbass shit for days.
True.
Especially when I am, you know, I am not completely exhausted anymore. It's very useful if you're not that. I'm kind of thinking about Outer Wilds right now. Of course, it's something completely different, but when you step out of the spaceship and just drift into the depths of space, it definitely gives you an unsettling feeling. It's kind of the same, yeah. That's just how this works, you know. That's just thalassophobia in action. Also, I love that one of I just love now sometimes looking at some names like Killer Rudy.
There's the Ice-T clan.
Ice-T. Oh god, there's a clan here. Ice-T Mango, Ice-T Berry, Ice-T Peach. You know what? I guess. I really need to play Outer Wilds at some point in my life, I think. But not that soon, because I can finish Ghostwire Tokyo this year. I am so fucking... I'm actually very happy that this is just the case, that I can maybe actually play Ghostwire Tokyo finally to its logic. I can just finish it.
Occupy. Here's the setup. Seek,
It's
seize,
a
and
masterpiece.
defend.
Ah.
3, 2, 1. Take the capture zone.
Okay,
Follow
how
it
zero
with a
core
change
is it
location.
actually? How zero core is it though? How
Allies
many
on the
murderous
zone.
women are in there? Then again,
The zone's in
honestly, I
danger.
cannot imagine why people say things are a masterpiece until I play it, probably. And then I feel it's probably...
Capture zone contested. Try not to step in fire.
I feel like I will probably be underwhelmed. I don't know. This is one of those things. I keep hearing that everyone says Outer Wilds is such an amazing game. But everything I see of it, it's just like, I feel I will be underwhelmed. Like, this is like...
Sending new locations to your OPSAT now.
You know, it's not... Okay. Honestly, I have to give it to the game, because it seems like it was actually, you know, a lot, like... I still remember when it came out and people joked how, you know, how two very, very similar sounding games are coming out back to back, you know, Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds, haha. But considering everyone kept talking about Outer Wilds, except the usual, you know, the rare notion of, oh yeah, Outer Worlds was actually pretty good, except, you know, a lot of people come now around now, like, actually, Outer Worlds was overrated and definitely more of a hate buy. It's kind of wild how it always takes a few years after a game is basically over or there's a sequel that people might admit a game was a hate buy.
What the fuck is a hate buy?
In the sense, it's like, oh hey, we didn't get a new Fallout New Vegas from Obsidian Entertainment, and so they're like, but Obsidian just made their own Fallout game in space now, and then it turns out the guy who actually wrote New Vegas wrote, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn, meaning that you got actually your New Vegas storyline. It was in a guerrilla game. But holy shit, if you tell that people, they get angry actually. They refuse to accept the fact that that's the case, even though... I'm sorry.
I know what I hate. Except that it's motivated by hate.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when the last SimCity game came out and was just an under-delivered mess with much too small cities and shit, and then that one, that back then indie developer Colossal Order just slammed out a game that looked like it, but was big, called City Skylines.
So they didn't like the bad SimCity game, so they bought the bad SimCity clone.
Yeah.
Good coverage on that zone, Agent. Don't let
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not saying the last SimCity game was good, but it was kind of wild that aside from size, you know, City Skylines was to a degree more underbaked. Like, I know, how this sounds like, but like, City Skylines was one of those games that up until the sequel, apparently no one wanted to admit that, oh yeah, maybe it was a bit bad, even though they totally agreed on so many things, like, yeah, the car AI doesn't work. Just use mods. What the fuck are you talking about? Use mods is not a point to, okay, you know what, I can just ignore that critique of the whole game. It's actually, why isn't it fixed by the devs? But then everyone Pikachu faced because City Skylines 2 came out and was just a broken mess at launch, but you know, it was basically the same broken mess, just kind of underdelivered again. Everyone was like, wait, it's a broken mess, how did that happen? I don't know, you did 1 decade of basically telling the devs everything they do is right, and they don't need to worry, everyone will fix it with mods, and then they basically release the game in the state that where, and hoping that everyone would just say, just use mods again.
We're locking down the zone.
Listen, that shtick basically went for 1 game, and also the whole just use mods argument was completely soaked up by Bethesda games in the meantime. Just keep that in mind, okay? Just use mods is something people can say when the games that need mods are rare. And there were a lot of games coming out on PC over that time that needed mods. And especially since, you know, Bethesda kept putting out games that needed mods. You know, the moment the next game came out that was just like, oh yeah, just mod the thing, what did you want? A lot of people were like, so why isn't that in the game from the start? I'm still thinking about how mediocre the Outer Worlds was. To a degree, I am interested in seeing how much that is the fact, but
Zone compromised. You're on fire, Agent.
I mean, the funniest bit to me is just the fact that all the people at Obsidian that were actually responsible for, you know, New Vegas left. And a bunch of the people that tried to get the, you know, the claim for Fallout 2 and shit were apparently so utterly stupid that they didn't even realize what their own game was about. Because when someone is like, oh no, Fallout 2 was not about capitalism, it was about human nature. No. I'm sorry, this isn't even like, you know, a cheeky what is human nature informed by thing. It is quite literally, you're fucking stupid because you you apparently did not get what your writers were writing in. I can totally see that you know, that the lead, you know, the studio chef was probably like, oh, I don't want to hear any capitalism critique, so, you know, the writers just never said anything, or were like, oh yeah, no, this is about human nature, and then they just wrote capitalist critique, because my god, you cannot look at Fallout 2 and Fallout 1 and not read it as a capitalist critique of America and a critique of American imperialism. It is just literally fucking that. And you know, those things are those people are now not there again. So, oops, the Outer Worlds is mediocre. How did that happen?
We're on the zone.
And then everyone is Pikachu-faced when you tell them that the, you know, robot dinosaur hunting game has a backstory about war robot subscription services. No, seriously, that is actually the background. That is just very roughly summed up the background story of Horizon Zero Dawn. The moment I read that, I was like, holy shit, they are actually going for something funny.
Good coverage on that zone, Agent. Don't let up.
I mean, it was that, right? It's always that.
Capture zone is moving. Sending new locations. You're off that now.
Yeah, they Pikachu face. It's just like that's probably one of the big things where I will always critique about video games, that people forget
the zone's in danger. We're on the zone.
Who does what in a video game? Because, like, yes, people will, you know, always, you know, parrot, you know, individual statements that are true. Like, for example, a game is not made by an individual person. You know, Big Man Theory is wrong, sure. But also, then they're like, oh yeah, but it's made by the studio. And then they overvalue the studio because, like, no, here's the thing. A game is always the result of the sum of its parts. But then they break the parts down into, oh, but what if we just call the sum of the parts Studio X? And then completely ignore that some key factors vanish. Like, for example, Fallout New Vegas, and I will say this, was good because of Todd. And I know, oh boy, there are people out there who really do want to cling on to the idea that Todd Howard hates New Vegas or old Fallout games, which he doesn't. He repeatedly showed that. He repeatedly actually made some statements that are... Remember how everyone was angry, like how a lot of the people were angry because Todd Howard said, when they were like, hey Todd, can you remake Fallout 1 for modern consoles so everyone can enjoy them? And he was like, Fallout 1 works perfectly fine on your PC. Use mouse and keyboard. It runs on nearly every system nowadays. And you're just like, sorry, that is not dismissive. That is literally saying just play the original game. And it's like, you know what? The only correct answer. Thank you, Todd. But also, this is not an answer that someone would give if he hated the original game. This is an answer that someone would make if he likes the original game. You know? Just talking about that, but still, the thing is, a lot of the, like, yeah, a lot of people can point towards, look how much, you know, look how much, more refined, Fallout New Vegas is compared to Fallout 3. Also, you know, they had to refine it from something. Also, let's get Cat Ear
Don't compromise.
Post-apocalypse biker girl. Let's get some fun in. It's a new faction. I unlocked the cat girl.
Oh, you burned.
And already down. Great. Yeah, the thing is, what was the big point of why people like New Vegas? First of all, the general gameplay loop was designed by Bethesda and refined by Obsidian. That is a big thing. Obsidian did not create the base gameplay loop of... They did not create the base gameplay loop of Fallout New Vegas. That was Bethesda games. Again, they changed a bunch of stuff to be better, but that is more like, you know, you already look at an existing product and you refine it. That is not... There's a difference there, you know?
I don't gotta yell at you.
And then it's like, oh, but you know, the world is well structured. Yeah, but they have some pretty well gameplay designs. I feel like this is probably still the case in... This is actually still the case in the Outer Worlds, if I would put out a big guess here. But then everyone comes back to the writing was bad. Yeah, because the writers left. If you want to look at the sum of its parts, you need to pick out what part stood out. And if you then realize that part is now missing or exchanged, then you can select your favorite IC. Oh, yeah. Fair point. Then overall, you will look at something that just simply that just, you know, won't have the same story impact because, well, guess what? The story left. So if you want to have the story left. Yeah, the story writers left. Yeah, the story left. if the people who wrote the story left the studio, the kind of style of story people want left the studio kind of with them. It's gonna be a different story, you know, that is written by other people. Now that story can be similar, but it's not gonna be, you know, the same. And again, this was the thing that shocked me the most when it came out. I was like, wait. I literally played Horizon and I was like, wait. That sounds kind of campy, that backstory. And generally, Horizon has a lot of stuff that is, you know, quite, you know, campy, a bit of, you know, overtuned, talking about certain, you know, things of, you know, yeah, ironically human nature or society. And then I was like, who wrote this? Oh, the New Vegas guy. Yeah, you know what? Should have seen that coming when I heard about subscription-based killer robots. It's just, that definitely is like just a logical thing to a degree. You know, you're like, oh yeah, those are similar vibes. It was campy, but yeah, I mean, camp is a good thing in my opinion, you know? Some good camp is usually just a perfect way of, you know, simply getting some fun into a game, you know?
Occupy. If you can't
like,
take it.
Yeah, you could make a... Also, let's just be really... I know I have to correct myself now a lot of times, but...
Take over the capture zone.
Our world is stupid. Like, if someone is like, wait, why did they do subscription-based killer robots? That's stupid. I'm like, you'd think Mark Zuckerberg and co wouldn't do that if they could? You've noticed what kind of world we are living in?
Those flames look painful.
There was always stupidity in the world. There's like... I think the worst fallacy a human can make up in their mind is the fact that history was serious.
Taking the zone.
History, you know, the events of history had serious consequences. But a lot of times they weren't really that serious, like... Remember we had like at least one war over a fucking pig. And a war over a bucket. They fought because of a bucket.
Zone in danger.
And when you're like, oh, but there are like a lot of, you know, historical and, you know, cultural facts that led to all of it. Yes. But it's still stupid.
Your problem is, those fools ain't scared of you. Go make them afraid.
It's still stupid, you know? That's just history.
They're on the zone.
It's similar to how, you know...
Those flames.
What's funny stuff that happened in history?
Capture it. Capture zone is changing location.
I don't know. There's just so much of it. Like, so much is stupid, and you're like, why? And in hindsight, we should have learned that, no, sometimes, you know, especially, you know, okay, you know, especially monarchs and shit, the moment someone has more power than they, you know, than they should have, they will make stupid decisions. And, you know, non-rational decisions. Like, it could be ego, it could be just a lot of reasons. Like, again, one of the main things is that people, for example, kept saying that, I mean, there is this idea that, you know, the original AR-15, I kind of like to bring it up, sucked. But the reality is that because one department, you know, the Springfield Armory, had so much influence over what the US military was using, they fucked it up. Because the reality was the M16 was adopted because it was such a reliable gun that basically everyone involved was like, we should adopt that gun. Because, okay, rough overview. After World War II, NATO was formed. Then they were like, we should basically, you know, be like, we should have all one cartridge, you know, that everyone can use in their guns. And if we do that, you know, that just helps with ammunition, etc., because, for example, during World War II, the Americans just pumped out so much ammunition, they just didn't need to do shit. And the Brits were like, fuck, we don't have any of that ammunition. So I kind of wanted in on that. Now, the Americans basically were like, we need a big cartridge, so they made a big cartridge. This is why, you know, European nations developed stuff like the FAL and the G3. They used that big cartridge that we nowadays, you know, not even classified as an assault rifle anymore.
Those flames were painful.
And the Americans developed the M14, which sucked. Like, it's just basically, it's kind of a grand from every magazine full auto. It sucks. Okay, ironically, that's another fun fact. South Korea actually modified a lot of M1 Garands to use magazines, and those work better than M14s. Just saying. But still. Then some people used, you know, the AR-15 that, you know, came onto the market and were like, holy shit. That thing is good. That intermediate cartridge is also really good. It's lighter. We can hold more ammunition. We don't even need that big of a, you know, big cartridge. And then the Springfield Armory fucked it up because they were just very fucking ignorant. Because, for example, they were like, they really hated the fact that their design was not used. So now every AR-15 to this day has shit like forward assist, which is unnecessary because it's just like, oh no, what if you need to slam the bolts on your own, you know, somehow. I think that is irrelevant because just, you know, pulling, you know, the handle in the back and just pulling the bolt back and forth, it fixes everything on an AR-15. You don't need to slam it, but no, that knock button, if you ever wondered what it was for, literally just exists because of the Springfield Armory saying you need to be able to slam the bolt, an action that potentially destroys it. And then they did shit like, oh hey, yeah, we need this cartridge, but what if we just, you know, give the ammunition supply to, you know, the people we always buy ammunition for, and they use just cheaper gunpowder, and so everything is off when it comes to the ballistics and the weapon breaks, and like, oh yeah, that definitely happens. And that's just a recent example. Again, Monarchs were more petty. They sucked even more. Double kill.
Taking the zone.
Any funny thing anyone wants to talk about, maybe? Need some good topics here.
They're on the zone.
Actually, I'm just feeling weird. I don't want to break out into a Monster Hunter rant again. Even though apparently that is kind of popular.
Capture zones changing location.
Just, you know,
other games winning. You're making us look weak. Capture it. Secure the zone.
At least got a lot of a big thing done in Monster Hunter Frontier today. As much as I like clan holds, I think if a new game is like, hey, collect materials with your clan to build outfits for cookies, then also just maybe have some quests where you can actually get those materials and the rewards.
They're on the zone.
Kinda sucks when that's just not the case, you know? I kinda like having it a bit easier instead of, oh, where do I get remote bras, and then realizing it is such a pain. You just buy it from a shop. That also is kind of stupid, like... honestly, I like the fact that you can just buy a lot of stuff from a shop in Frontier. But also, I kind of wish I could just do more for gameplay sometimes and just be like, yeah, fuck this shit. I just go to the store. Cake. Honestly, kind of want to have some cheesecake now. That would be delicious. I like cheesecake. Cheesecake is delicious. Hey, you know what's everyone's favorite cake? Hit me. What kind of cake do you like to devour?
Contested. Oh, those flames look painful. They're on the zone. Zone change location. Taking the zone. Ending's near, and it ain't gonna be a happy one. Zone in danger.
Well, understandable, but then give us just one you really like, you know?
Taking the zone. Solve that problem. Zone disputed.
Grenades away!
Zone's change location. Zone in danger.
I mean, you know what? Wait, okay, you know what? I can be pedantic now and say that's a torta, not a cake, but I get it.
This could go either
I get
way,
it.
but
That's a
time's
classic
running
for a
out.
reason. Even though I'm not a big fan of cherries.
They're on the zone. Zone contested. Taking the zone. Zone change location.
What's your favorite cake, by the way? I am. Maybe I should make you one again. When you understand, I'll say Russian Zupfkuchen.
Victory is addictive.
I mean, it's Zupfkuchen is nice, honestly. Even though it's not Russian, it's Dr. Oetker. It feels exotic. I mean, that's kind of the same reason why, you know, some people call, you know, why, you know, Greek yogurt was called Greek yogurt, even though it's from Turkey. Yeah, sorry to burst the bubble here. Like, Greek yogurt is actually Turkish yogurt. Oops. But, you know what? I can actually put in the new MP they have. Look at this thing. It has a fucking drum mag. It's just a big drum. Just. But I feel like this is probably the actual reason. You know, they called it Russian, so you know there's this feeling of, oh look, it's coming from that is a recipe from a faraway land. And most Germans don't know that. They don't know what Russian cuisine is. They're just like, ah, faraway land. And the thing is, if they would have called it Turkish Zupfkuchen, they would be like, that's not Turkish. Because here's the thing, if you have something like, you know, that is, you know, baked, hearty and shit, that is more associated with northern countries. Well, if you would have something that's more spicy, airy, light, that is more associated with southern countries. And even then the gradient is more like, you know, garlicky spicy is Italian, a lot more saffron and, you know, mild spices is Spanish, and the spicy, that is Turkish or Arabian. And everything else is, I guess, Asia or something. Just to be clear here, this is not me saying this is how those cuisines are. Not in the slightest. This is just me saying how people perceive the cuisines. So obviously, if they want to make, like, this is an exotic recipe for cake, because here's the thing: when it comes to marketing, you can't just say you made it up. You always want to associate with something that's like history. And so, you know, they just make up something as it's like, oh, it's from a faraway land. And, you know, if it fits enough, then people are like, oh, yeah, that's a Russian cake. And then the Russians are like, suka bliat. This is not cake. Also, what the fuck is wrong with xDefiant and the fact they just want to show the spring on AK systems? What the fuck is wrong with that?
Flames were painful. They're on the zone. Capture zone contested.
It's kind of funny to think how, you know, just talking a bit about guns right now, like how certain, you know, manufacturers solve the problem of how do you get more capacity into a gun without while keeping it compact. And like you have the, you know, the P90, which is like, you know, everything is just vertically oriented, and you just put it on top of the gun. And so you just use the full length of the gun as like one magazine, and you're like, oh, okay, you know what? That's not that bad. That's not a bad idea. Also, you can, you know, fit an armor-piercing caliber in there and shit like that. And then Russia was like, big tube.
Location.
Yeah.
They're on the zone. Taking the zone. Oh, those flames were painful. Capture zone contested. Zone under enemy attack. Capture zone is changing location. Taking the zone. They're on the zone.
I hit everything. But yeah.
Gathering intel.
Hope I'm actually feeling a lot better tomorrow.
They're on the zone.
Don't want to be similarly wasted when I, well, get all the shit for the cats and Ghost Fire. Are we actually stealing? You know what? I know this science probably sounds a bit stupid, but like, I mean, all the people vanished into spirits, and yes, we are saving them in Ghostfire. Like, we're kind of going around and stealing everyone's stuff to sell it to the Nikomatas. It's not like this is like, oh, this is just normal things. Like, some things are probably more like, oh yeah, they're around because, you know, just how they grew. But like a lot of stuff is just stealing.
In the zone. Zone under enemy attack.
Boom, boom time!
Like, it's just stealing, right?
Reloading. Cover me.
Capture zone in the location. Capture zone contested.
Go. No.
They're on the
No.
zone.
I don't want to die. I want to kill.
Taking the zone. Oh, you burned it. Zone under enemy attack. Capture zone is changing location.
Swapping mags.
Boom, boom time!
Scanning for hostiles.
Taking the zone. Oh, zone in danger.
Yeah, I feel like I'm slowly having my heart rate down to something that is more, you know, normal.
Capture zone's changing location.
We got history.
And then I fuck up.
Taking the zone.
EMP! Taking out the real big guns.
They're on the zone. Oh, Lord, capture zone contested. Capture zone's changing location. Taking the zone. Other zone in danger. Make that capture zone your property.
Honestly, I'm thinking that I maybe should watch, you know, I maybe should finally watch that D&D movie that came out like last year or so. Because apparently it's really good. Like, everyone I know that watched it says it's actually really good. I mean, I can already say right now that probably the irony about it is that it's not gonna be a D&D movie. Like, don't get me wrong. It will have the branding and all that, and it will have some recognizable, you know, stuff in there that looks like the artwork. but it's not gonna be in D, and I can already tell you that because someone morphs into an old bear, that by the rules of 5th edition, which this is apparently based on, shouldn't work. Or like, but I allow that. Yeah, you haven't read the rules. Sorry, the spell specifically specifies what you can morph into, and an owlbear isn't that. So here's the thing. I think that is probably the big part where I almost can be guaranteed that this will be the biggest upside and downside of the movie for me. Because for one reason, but for one part, I kind of hate the fact that, you know, something says, you know, I am Brand, and then just ignores that. You know? Then again, I can say that this is to a big part because Wizards of the Coast is actually like, has become the most horrible publisher around because they do not give a fuck. I mean, they maybe have given some fucks with their first idea of being like, actually, you know, with 5th edition, we are making, you know, the Sword Coast, you know, the central pillar of the world, meaning, yes, everything in the game is designed to be built around that, and you could technically adjust it for, other settings, etc. But the core idea is that everything is built around the Sword Coast. You know what? Good. I actually like that. I don't hate that. That is actually good. That is a good idea to actually be like, no, we really focus on one thing, and then they threw it out of the window basically immediately because, lol. What is consistency, right? What is trying to make a game that is, you know, or a system that is revolving around one setting to a degree that people then can maybe, you know, adjust if they need it? No. They just started pretending that everything is working everywhere. That's not how this works. You all know that. Also, you write horrible rules, but that's a different point. Like, that is probably the thing that I hate the most. That they do not give a single fuck. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and here's a personal thing. I do like the writing and characters and general stuff they do in the storyline of Baldur's Gate 3. It's not D&D. They have a lot of inconsistencies in there, and also, the gameplay is just not how D&D is supposed to work. Actually, the changes they do, which they probably did because of, you know, feedback from people who are already ignorant players. And as I say ignorant because tell someone you're not playing D&D and they get really pissed about the fact that you're just pointing out they have never read the rules. They probably just changed that because because Baldur's Gate is built how everyone expects D&D to work, not how D&D works, and it just actively makes the game worse. Just is. It's a fact. Everyone with a little bit of board game knowledge just kind of analyzed that the moment, and they were like, wait, the rules of D&D 5 suck if that's the case. And I was like, yeah, good thing that's not the rules of D&D. And they were like, what? Yeah, it's not. But the thing is,
Boom, boom time!
it's like, just the general thing, you know? They just don't give a fuck. Ironically, I would say, and this is probably the upside, because when I hear from everyone that, yes, this is a brand movie, but it doesn't feel like that. Ironically, I think the biggest strength of the movie is that they do not adhere to the fucking D&D brand. Because, like, let's just be real here. Nowadays, you cannot really make a fun, fantasy adventure ROM anymore without being attached to some kind of IP. And to a degree, I would say, pitching it as a D&D movie, even though this was, you know, from how I read it, what people talk about, definitely just a fantasy movie script they had lying around for a long time and probably wanted to make it for a long time, and then just were like, you know what, we can just slap that into there. Who will notice? I will notice, but that's a different point. It's just, yeah, that's the irony. I think if there was more oversight in like how do you need to do everything, the movie probably would not have been as good. But it's not D&D, and honestly, it kind of sucks the fact it really sucks that Honor Among Thieves could have been like its own fantasy universe with its own cast, because like, again, the movie apparently was not really that successful in cinema, but is really successful in streaming right now. So yeah, they will get a sequel, which is, you know what? Again, I am actually down for more fantasy movies. Good fantasy movies are missing nowadays, sorely. It's just, isn't it fucking depressing that they needed to slap the D&D brand onto it? Isn't it that really fucking depressing that they had to do that to, you know, be greenlit? God, and you, what?
It's necessarily done. Putting more wood allows you to shapeshift there.
Oh, yeah, right.
But it's the blue that doesn't.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Just want to correct that.
Bit wrong in the brain right now.
Wrong
Wrong in the brain. I'm just exhausted.
I'm just pissed because I like to forget like of the monsters and stuff.
There's some good stuff in there, yeah.
I'm just pissed because of that generally. Because the trailer showed Mimic how Mimic does not work.
Yeah. That's probably my biggest point why this was definitely a script they had before already. And then adjusted.
Zone contested.
Changing
Like,
mags.
I think the biggest,
Pass me out,
I think the biggest sign of that is that, and it is so funny in hindsight, you know, because when this was said, I was like, lol. But yeah, in hindsight, considering again, when everyone said the movie was good and like really good, like actually one of those you can just keep rewatching it movies, I was like, okay. It's so funny how Wizards, being a shit company, worked in the favor, you know, of this fucking movie. Because, see, they brought out this little thing called, this little quote-unquote adventure called Rime of the Frost Maiden, set in, I forgot the name, Icewind Dale. So here's the thing, this is basically a bit of a spoiler for the movie, but it was kind of a spoiler back then as well, so I don't think that is really that relevant.
Taking the zone.
Here's a big thing. Rime of the Frost Maiden, for one, is not a good adventure. Do not buy that fucking book if you want to run an adventure, because, you know, basic shit like that. They want to follow a storyline, and then say, oh, you can start in one of the 13 cities of the north. But the storyline is quite literally, you have to be in one specific city, else, you know, you don't need an NPC, and the book provides no books on how to get there or anything. They just like, fuck you. Do that shit yourself, which is again bad adventure. It's just bad. It's a good source book though for Icewind Dale, and there was a juicy detail they crowded themselves with. And it's like, here's the thing, I stand by that fact that most people working at D&D right now can't write worlds, and they do not have the enthusiasm to actually write worlds, because they were like, look, we added this new location that wasn't there before, which is like a gigantic prison. And you're like, oh, why? Because this was necessary for the movie.
Capture zone contested.
So ironically, I would say, if you write that world, and if you think about just in general the whole, you know,
Taking the zone.
how fantasies, you know, a fantasy world works, even Forgotten Realms, a high security prison in an icy area like that would not make sense at all. It just wouldn't make sense. It's stupid. It's a set piece for a movie. Probably a fun set piece, but it's stupid. However, because, you know, again, they have no spine and actually no creativity, they were just like, oh yeah, we just put that in. Which is funny because, again, this probably helped the movie because the people who made the movie had a vision what they wanted to have in their movie, and everyone just bowed to them? Like, I can tell you, if I would make a DSA movie, I would fucking consult so many people on where the villages are on the map, because there are discussions about that. I know people talk about the moments where they were at conventions, and someone just wanted to, you know, wanted to run just a simple one shot, and just made up a village, and it turned into an hour-long discussion that killed the one shot. If there was actually a village there, because sorry, DSA is planned too. You can make wonderful stories in there, but like it's one of those worlds and where the writers give a shit, and you know where the people playing it give a shit. So it won't fly if you just make shit up on the spot. You should actually read the material, and there's a lot of material. But ironically, yeah, the D&D movie was apparently written, and then they were like, hey, can you just change everything to our liking? And they were like, sure. Shockingly, they used that to make a good movie. Again, still sucks they needed to use a brand for that, and kind of just contributed to the whole death of everything. Our world sucks and everything is shitty. Ain't that right? But like, also, apparently they found a new bomb here in, yeah. It's just another day in the life of a German big city. Basically Hochbahn tweeted about, yeah, there's nothing, there's no, you know, so-called, subways are driving on the U3 and U2 around Schlump because bomb defusal. And if you're wondering, no, it's not one of those modern bombs, it's one of those really old 500 kilogram bombs, so you know, the bad ones. I said one of the funniest bits, one of the, you know what, it's funny but kind of harrowing in the hindsight, but still funny, was that I went back home once, and I was just like, ah, la 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 la, and then I just look at my phone and like, warning, do not be at this station or around because they're defusing a fucking huge bomb from World War II, and you're like, ah.
Occupied.
Actually, can I just ask, okay, this is probably a stupid question, but how the fuck did all those World War II bombs get underground?
2, 1.
You'd
Take
think,
over the capture zone.
you know, after World War II, when they were like not exploded and shit, that they were still on the ground and people could just remove them, but I guess not.
They're on the zone.
Then again, this is just...
Taking the zone. Passing zone protected. Zone under enemy attack. Passing zone is changing location. Solve that problem. They're on the zone. Taking the zone.
You know what? I know this is probably the most random change of topic you could imagine, but it's kind of fucked how Dragon Ball just is like
Breaking out
White.
the real big gun.
Capture zone is
just
changing
a, you know, sellout brand. Just has become it even more in the last years.
Sticky out.
Zone is dangerous.
Like, there's a new Dragon Ball series coming out, and everyone's like, don't spoil everyone, like, the original creator is dead.
Pass me up, anybody!
This isn't like, you know, how with Berserk, where it's like, obviously, they kind of want to finish it at least, because it's an unfinished story. It's just like, ever thought about how Dragon Ball will definitely end up being one of those series that they just keep putting out slop because it's a brand that sells?
What are you
And we're
waiting
like
for,
in the
Rabbit?
last
Take that
phases
zone.
where people will still behave as if it's like, you know, good. I mean, okay, honestly, the moment they put out Dragon Ball Super, I think they were already just giving up. Like, I don't care if it was actually, you know, quote unquote good.
Capture zone's
Like-
changing location. They're
Dragon
on the
Ball
zone.
GT was good and people were just pissed it wasn't their continuous screaming at each other Dragon Ball Z continuation, but like actually a continuation of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball GT was good, and they retconned it because, yeah, people couldn't stand the idea that, oh no, it's more, you know, it's back to martial arts and not just screaming at each other and firing, I don't know, Genki Damas and shit. Was it a Genki Dama? I own all the manga, but I don't care anymore.
Stand up and fight.
I think this is probably the wildest thing for me because, like, I actually, you know,
Zone in
yeah,
danger.
I grew up with Dragon Ball to a big degree.
Overwatch.
I own every manga from, you know, the original to Z,
Those flames look painful.
but the more they kept putting out new Dragon Ball stuff over the last years, just made me really dislike the series to a degree. It's kind of wild how they start souring that. And yeah, it will probably all come back to that one point when, you know, I can guarantee you that in like 3 or 4 years when people are like, wait, why does Dragon Ball kind of suck now? And it's like, yeah, that kind of happened the moment you just retconned the one series you disliked for not being, you know, screaming enough?
This zone's becoming a real problem for us.
Sticky out.
Capture zone is changing location. Capture it.
Actually, you know what? I'm taking this back. You know what?
Zone in danger.
I think Dragon Ball kind of started to flop at that point when you know, he pulled out an actual final arc to Dragon Ball Z that should have ended with the very, very, very obvious thing that continuous fighting is not the answer to all and the biggest problems. And let me let me be clear here. The fact that Mr. Satan saves the day by being nice to Majin Buu and, you know, introducing humanity to him, this is the thing everyone holds up as, oh yeah, that was good. But the thing is, this is how the series should have ended. Goku and Co. being fucking confronted with the fact that endless fighting as the Saiyans wanted will not lead to actually a peaceful future. That sometimes the logical solution is to just be human. And then from what I know, the editor probably said them, yeah, you can't end it like that. You pull something out of their ass, and it's like, yeah, but here's no evil Majin Buu, and the answer is actually fighting. I'm like, okay, cool, Dragon Ball. You just kind of fucking. I still like the Majin Buu saga. I'm not shitting on that. It's just that is the moment, you know, you realize you can definitely realize that the series was.
Zone under enemy attack.
It wanted to do something and then couldn't do it. And I think that is definitely the best example of where I think I really tuned out with Dragon Ball, because I feel like Dragon Ball is definitely the most nostalgia-brained series I know today. Like, people really pretend like it's still amazing instead of like, you know, it doesn't have flaws and not like, or you know, the flaws are at best like, oh yeah, it's, you know, Frieza's a bit cheesy. No, Frieza's actually amazing. Yes, he's campy as shit, but like, he's amazing. And Cell, yes, also, but like, nothing really sums it up better than, you know, Majin Buu being like, it's an unbeatable monster, and they're like, oh no, how can you beat the unbeatable monster? And it's so obviously wanted to end it with, maybe stop fighting. Maybe the moment you keep, because you keep fighting, you will just make it everything worse for everyone, and you know, maybe you should just stop fighting. But yeah, they couldn't end on that, because then people would be bummed out that they have big fighting series about being manly, which was not the point of Dragon Ball, by the way. Like, but that's what a lot of people read into it. It was not about fighting. Actually, now that I think about it, can you imagine how insufferable it would have been if you know, if the Majin Buu saga would have actually ended with, you can't beat Majin Buu, the only solution is to actually be human, and, you know, Goku had to realize that he's kind of an asshole because he kept trying. I like this thing, it's so stupid.
Zone under enemy attack. Failed, but I'm not gonna hold it against you.
I'm sitting here talking about Dragon Ball, and I feel like I'm definitely talking into a wall, but like, I know, what do you say? Dragon Ball really sold out the moment they just put in evil Majin Buu just to have a big fight at the end, even though the correct answer would have been to say not fighting is the actual solution.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, that's the thing, you know? This is why I hate the fact that people are like, oh yeah, you know, no one really liked GT. GT was good. GT was the thing of, oh yeah, we can't really do other stuff, but GT went back to, it's not a stupid power fantasy power scaling anymore. It was actually about the more human parts and such. on 20th, which is... Hey, first off, hello Livingston. Second, I don't think that would... Wait, what? Where did you get that from, by the way? Because I don't think Paradox is putting out a patch on a Sunday. And no, Sundays are definitely they're you know, they're for other things. I don't know, where did you get that from? That's just a simple question. No, like, where did you get it from? Where did you get it from that the patch comes out on the 20th? That's a simple question. It's a Sunday. They don't bring out patches on a Sunday. That's just suicide for any studio. This is me saying, you know, oh, it's just like, yeah, it's not... Let me just check really quickly. No.
Occupy. If you can't take it. 3, 2, 1. Take over the capture zone. Then.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything of that. I think your date is wrong. Just saying.
Zone in danger.
Because that's just a thing. Because
Taking the zone.
I can guarantee you. Yeah, I can. So either it's you know. Either it's, you know, the wrong month because
Capture zone contested.
no, like it can't actually be the 20th. Like again, I'd say it's either probably the wrong month because if it's a Sunday, they're not gonna release a patch on Sunday because patch day is a work day, and they don't work. You know, studios do not work on Sunday. It could be that they mean it's coming out on the 20th November, so next month, because that's a Wednesday. And usually, you know, Wiki 3 patches dropped on Wednesdays. So yeah, maybe 20th is correct, but not October. No, I don't know where you, like, again, if you read a date and it's a Sunday, especially with European devs, no. Because, again, when you release a patch, you have to monitor how it works. You have to react to it, maybe do hotfixes. If they would release it on a Sunday, that would mean they would have the whole studio to work on Sunday. First of all, that is legally not a thing to do. Yeah, it's either November or December, yeah. Because the thing is, from what it seems like, they have not set a date so far in any of the dev diaries. And also, there are still a few dev diaries to come, so yeah, if it's the 20th, it's not this month. Because again, by labor laws, you cannot work on Sundays. However, big thing. A big thing to keep in mind, technically you could work on a Sunday, but two things. It either needs to be, you know, with European law, it needs to be a special reason, like for example, something is really fucking bad right now, and that is going into your overtime, or and also you get extra payment for those hours. That is just labor laws in Europe. So no company works on Sundays. It's just a stupid thing to do. You need to pay extra. So yeah, I don't know. Again, if it's on a Wednesday, you probably will stream on the Friday anyway. So that's that. Actually, you know, I think having a few days, like 2 days between the whole occasion, is actually not that stupid because, well, like a lot of Paradox patches come out with problems, and this one is a big one. And I can almost guarantee you that if it comes out on a Wednesday, we will have a hotfix on Thursday or Friday. I can almost guarantee you that. So, like, playing on launch is kind of stupid because I don't know. It's just like. Also, hello, Lena. Got one of the new guns and it's Spaß. Ooh. So yeah, but yeah, basically, if you ever read a date for some release and it's on a Sunday, it's not on a Sunday. That's a wrong date. You know, maybe with an American company, but European companies, no, you will not get them to work on Sundays. That's just not a thing. I mean, it's gonna come out always deploy on Fridays. That is probably the stupidest thing you can do. Just like, oh yeah, just release it on a Friday. Honestly, the worst days to release on a week are Mondays and Fridays. I know a lot of people, I know you'll probably be like, why Mondays? Why Mondays? Listen. Mondays are bad because even in America, everyone is coming home, is coming back into work on a Monday. This is like the day where everyone gets to, you know, warm up again. Gets to go back into the groove. It would be absolute suicide to just like, oh, we're just gonna do something really important on a Monday. In fact, the best day for a patch is Tuesday. That's why a lot of companies nowadays do it there, because first of all, you know, people are acclimated to, you know, work again. You had a whole day of just going over everything, just, you know, doing some last checks, doing some last fixes. Maybe you find something. And then you release on Tuesday, and you have still Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, if push comes to shove, to, you know, maybe do the final fixes and shit. So yeah, that is the reason why you have so many releases on, you know, at least of patches on Tuesdays. Now, with game releases, yeah, a lot of them nowadays release on Thursdays because of one simple reason. If you want, one of the biggest things to have is a launch weekend. The thing is just, as I pointed out, you want to have time to fix. So obviously, the best thing is, where did you get that from? No, the patch will probably be playable fine. The thing is just, they will have some unresolved fixes in launch, because that is always a thing with Paradox. This is the stuff they hotfix in the first week. But also, it probably is November, because the thing is, on 20th of December, they will all be in Christmas holidays. And they will be because Europe. In Sweden, you have to be on Christmas holiday. This is similar to how people were like, you know, every time during summer, people are like, why isn't, you know, for example, with Battlefield, I noticed that, you know, people are like, why isn't DICE doing things? We want to play now. Why is everything just scheduled stuff? And the answer is, they're a Swedish company. They have mandatory holidays. Like, there's mandatory summer holidays in Sweden. They have to take their time off for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks per year. Which is good. You know, workers deserve free time.
Get moving and take the zones.
It's just a thing. I think labor laws, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something controversial, but I think labor laws are neat. It's kind of nice if, you know, workers have some protection from the capitalist overlords. I know, hot take. Yeah, my guess is November 20th because again, it is still some time from now. It's a Wednesday, and also, it's not. If it's actually a 20th, it's not gonna be in December because when December there's holiday. So that's actually just elimination. It can't be October because of Sunday. It can't be December because of holidays. So aim for November, I would say, which sounds like actually a very reasonable time frame.
Boom, boom time!
Let's blow someone up. No one to blow. Oh, someone to. No! God damn it! By the way, for everyone who's wondering, I unlocked Nova, so I'm playing the post-apocalyptic cat girl biker.
We're seasoned, don't see.
It's good. These honestly, I like the fact they are doing designs of factions, not just it's copy pasting a character. Yeah. If it's a 20th, that's the thing, Levinson. If it's a 20th, it's gonna be November. That seems like the only reasonable thing. Is it Friday before Christmas? That will go. Yeah, that's like have suicide in your game. No, what's it say? No, it's just it would be suicide to do that.
Barrier deployed.
Go.
Taking a lot of lives for the team. Love it.
Oh yeah. I really like that ability. So So the thing about this faction is that if you kill someone, you get an increase in reload speed, movement speed, healing speed, and fire rate. So basically, yeah, it's specialist from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, but who cares? It's cool. And it keeps increasing with kills. Not endlessly, but still. It's fun. Okay, let's kill
Breaking
some.
out the real big gun.
They're on
God,
me.
the ballistics of this one is ass. Yeah, 20th of December is just like, nah, that is not gonna happen. Again, when devs release stuff, it's usually either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Those are the three ones where I would say those are realistic.
Zone contested.
I mean, that's a similar thing to like, okay, fun fact, sorry about yesterday. So yesterday, Agonia got really angry at me because I looked at a picture on Twitter. And, yeah, you laugh.
That's not once. That's like over half an hour, at least.
I just glanced at it a few times. Okay?
A few times.
Okay, Okay, just for record, why I did that. Okay, so this was a picture of one of the devs working at DICE. I like Battlefield, so you know, it's a thing. Also, he follows me because he also like he likes Gunpla. We talked about Gunpla and TTRPGs, and he followed me. That happened. I don't know. It's kind of funny how I just have like at least 3 bigger Swedish devs in my Twitter followers. Just don't ask me how. It just happened, okay? It just happened. So, but that guy is a fucking tease, and like he kept teasing every major season or update in the game so far. And they now went and were like, we're like, oh, we're gonna show off our new title earlier. So the thing is, he posted a picture of his, it's kind of a training rack, with the words "no pain" and ... So, and on that training rack was a merch jacket with definitely the the logo of the next Battlefield, and for some reason he also got a dog collar for like. Honestly, I respect the fact that you you have a cat, but you commit to the bit of the teasing by buying a big dog collar with the inscription "Next Alpha," just so everyone is like, oh yeah, fuck, there's some teasing in there. So yeah, this was just me being like, ah, fuck, he's teasing something. And this is why I kept thinking about that, because, this is why that picture kept alluring me, okay? It was a puzzle, it was a riddle. My brain wasn't just looking at the stupid picture, my brain was trying to decipher a code. I was thinking, I had brain works in the moment.
You think that you were thinking, or so you thought. But you didn't tell me, so were you really thinking?
I was thinking. I was thinking. I was thinking!
Can't be thinking if you think you're thinking. That's thoughtless.
So yeah, basically, if you want to know what my conclusion of that was, basically I thought it was a pretty simple riddle, because it was like there was a jacket, there was the thing, and then there was the saying. So like, okay, the jacket, the collar is like, okay, that's a hint of what? And then the thing is, and then it was like, oh, so what does the saying says? It's no pain, no gain. And like, okay, how should I read this? But like, then it's like, no, it's sometimes, shorting for November, but oh, interesting, that month is coming up soonish. How about that? And like, okay, so the next word is probably a sign of what kind of, puzzle it is. I don't think it's some kind of... I don't think it's a big, riddle like what they did in, the last, how's it called, Monogatari episodes with fucking prime numbers. Even though it's just like, oh yeah, she just solved that riddle. How? She just takes a look at it and is like, I just figured it out. It's just prime numbers and math. Like, you know what? I hate math people. How can you look at numbers and find patterns? Why is your brain working like that? It's just, nah. It sucks. Hate that. Hate that. Anyway, the thing I wanted to get to is, so I just did the obvious thing because I don't think, he thought it that big through. It's like, okay, what if we just add up the numbers and then like, oh, 31, yeah, that's not right. Also, it's a Sunday, that can't work. And this is why I went on to the idea that, no, it's a pun. He's working on a video game. The saying is supposed to be no pain, no game. And if you add that up, it's just November 27th. That's a Wednesday. So, I can think. I have the big smarts.
Domination. Any advice for a rabbit here, Lou?
You cannot beat me. I was beaten.
3, 2, 1. Secure the capture zone. Kill
Everyone
the
help!
enemy.
Agonia is bullying me. I am being bullied by her.
Zone is all out.
And all after making her nice food.
You shouldn't do bets with me. That's all. Okay?
You won't hit me again. Stop doing it. You won't hit me again hard.
Enemies on zone B.
See? Not hard.
You should do it hard.
You won't dare hit
Are
me
you
hard.
certain you want to be hit hard?
You won't do it while I stream. Ow! Ow! Why?
You don't dare me.
One day you will not do it.
That's indirect and not non-specific, so there will be no reaction.
Capture zone contested.
I still have to consider that.
Perfect for home game.
Side capture zone B. Solve that problem.
Tempting fate. This wasn't fate. This was Agonia.
You make the same thing.
You're not fate.
I'm not fake. Why am I staying behind?
Rivals taking C.
Turret on Overwatch.
I can
The gang got all the zones. Take them. We're seizing zone C. Capture zone contested.
Blah. Blah.
Enemies on zone B.
Yeah, sorry. I just got instant psychic damage. Eh.
Our side's capturing zone B.
Boom, boom time.
I can make a wide variety of noises, actually.
We're taking zone A. Capture zone contested. Rivals taking C. We're seizing zone C.
I just saw what you were reading. Yeah. That's just like, yeah.
Catch
It's
me
cheap.
up, anybody?
It is cheap. Though I have to disagree that bosses are the most important enemies.
True, but that's also a thing that a lot of RPGs are not really designed anymore to be, you know, resource drains.
I know. They have no idea what RPGs even
Yeah. Then again, immunity on bosses, like, I mean, the boss can be immune to one thing, maybe, but yeah,
are. There could even be bosses who need to
We're taking B.
everything.
one or two, but not all of them.
We got the zone. We're taking A.
But too many are.
Boom, boom time.
They're all
I like
B.
grenade launcher. You know what? This grenade launcher is like one of those American things. Like they designed it and then basically never changed it because it was just good enough. So, anyone having something fun to say? Since we're still going on here. go.
Payback. We lose it. I hate lose it. Take all the zones. How many times we gotta go over this? Enemies on C. They're on B.
Ah.
Perfect for home defense.
Throwing frag.
Any spot tracking you.
Okay, weird. I think I'm feeling better. But not that good. Just... Let's fuck up this.
I'll get on that. Don't dispute it. We're taking B.
I mean, you know, the thing is, just let the patch come if you want. Like, the thing is, I don't even know where you got the 20 from, you know? I think just to wrap it up, they said they made, you know, they wrote everything into one patch because they wanted to have the features out in 2042. So, no, not 2042, 2024.
Things are wrapping up.
Why can't you do the
we did
fucked
writing on the
up
wall.
method of counting numbers as backwards like Martin Luther did? Why does everyone else have a sensible counting?
We're out.
Except the French. God, the French are so... Honestly, sorry. The English, I have to say, they figured it out how to count numbers. Germans, they were a bit too much interested in how Martin Luther did it, and he was just like, oh no, you know what, you have to say it 20 4 2 20 4 and 20, and you know, while the English are like, it's 20 and 4, and then you're like, okay, you know what, can anyone be more stupid than that? And the answer is, welcome, the French. See, when everyone else has a name for example, 70. You know, it's like, you know, it's 70, 70. It's like, okay, it's a distinct number, and the English are 71, and the Germans are 71. You're like, okay, you know what? They turned around, or like, it's the same concept, and the French are like 30 plus 40 plus 1. What? Yeah, they just count. They count in telling numbers. Like the higher numbers, like 70, are a mathematic equation.
It seems made up.
I am not making this up.
But it still seems made up.
I mean, every language is made up, but this one is made up especially stupid. But no, the French just are like that. I'm very sorry. Ah, 70. Yeah, no. We talked enough about French people now. Couldn't even show off the new map. God damn it. But yeah, she has cat ears, that is very important. Oh well. Got some stuff. Yeah, there's like the new the new SMG, new shotgun. I'm learning French at the moment and I hate it. Here's the thing, I was actually pretty solid at French once and I was like, oh hey, I kinda like that. Now I kinda hate the fact I forgot how to speak French. Okay, honestly, I kinda thought that if I can speak French I would impress girls, but turns out to impress girls you just need to cook well, not know how to speak French. French is actually really useless for that. And I mean, maybe you can get even French girls with cooking, but you probably need really good cooking to get French girls. I heard that their cuisine is pretty good. Like everyone in France always cooks at home, and it's always like a 5-star menu because that's how France works. Definitely, that's how France is. 100%. That is normal. I'm not making shit up here. But yeah, I don't know, let's see, maybe we get to the last LMG to unlock one day, but yeah. And I wanted to show off the new map, but that didn't come up. It's actually pretty fun. Maybe next time, if you're wondering, probably gonna stream some xDefiant again when the attack defense map hits. Because I like that mode the most. Right now it was just a bit, you know, just doing the arena modes. It's kind of relaxing. And shit like that. And still gonna be very interesting in how this game will be when, you know, the assassins are coming next season. Yeah, spoiler. Somewhat data minded. Season 3 is gonna be assassins. So that there's gonna be an assassin faction in xDefiant. Actually, an interesting thing. So, basically, and Agonia still hampers on about that, which I kept telling her was not that true. You kept saying the game is dead. The thing is, at the end of season 1, no one was playing, and reports said...
Let me rephrase that. It should be dead, because then you wouldn't play dailies. You would be playing more Frontier.
How about that? How about I just end this stream and open up a stream with Frontier and we just do Hunting Road? Or was Gravios grinding or something? Just more streaming.
Gravios always nearly kills me before I kill it, so I don't know if you can do it as stream.
I can maybe stun it and then it's easier dead.
How can you stun it? You're a fucking Lance user.
Paralyze.
It's not stunning, that's parallel.
Yeah, but my brain forgot the other word, so I chose the closest thing.
I couldn't speak the word, even though I know it.
Oh. Yeah. So one interesting thing, by the way, a lot of people play now again, and like I get it. Ironically, the game feels way more dynamic now, and so okay, this is just a very small side tangent into game design because I feel like xDefiant has done something that might have been detrimental, but also kind of interesting. So the thing is, we're now 2 seasons and we have 2 new factions and a bunch of guns. I don't say the guns are like, I don't think anyone really sticks out. They're all interesting, good additions to the roster, okay? Now, again, this game is solid in its all arena modes, but I think in Escort and Zone Control it's generally the best. I think the new Escort and Zone Control map of the first season was really good and helped, you know, just flesh them out because the first 4 maps were like, and good, and the new one was really good. And I hope, you know, the next one is also really good because we can use more of that. But I was like, why do people play now? Yeah, the game is kind of grindy, so it takes time. But still, why do people keep play now? Well, you know, at this time during season 1, a lot of people already dropped, even though like, there was still a small spike during, you know, the attack defense map, but not really. And then, you know, the last map brought no one back, even though it's a good map. So here's an interesting thing I noticed. See, this game is still very much a class-based shooter. And right now we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes. everyone was basically like, the Highwaymen from Far Cry New Dawn, how are those going to be interesting? Right now, for me, they are the most interesting faction to play, actually. Besides the GSG-9, but that's a different thing. Those are like actually my two favorite ones. Maybe then that's like Libertad, and then the other one, and then Phantoms, and then Cleaners and Echelon, kind of. They're just kind of similar. I think Echelon I dislike the most. Cleaners are like just a bit above that, but still. Here's the thing. And yeah, game design moment. See, usually games, especially when it comes to class-based shooters, try to launch their game with a certain type of balance/balanced lineup. And they usually skew in one, let's just say, very unhealthy direction. Like, if you, for example, look at Overwatch, I know some people claim Overwatch is good now, but Overwatch kind of sucked after Ana, you know? There was Ana, and then I think Doomfist came. Doomfist and Brigitte, they just killed the balancing, and now everything is either just damage or a few things on the side. However, and this is the interesting part now, because every game, usually, like all of these class games, usually launch with the idea of having an equal number of, you know, more offensive options and defensive options, they kind of fuck up the balancing over time really, really fast, because they usually launch with a very, very delicate balancing. And like everyone who played in the launch window of Overwatch, the only hero that really fit in was Ana, and everyone else just kind of started ruining the balancing more and more, because it just became, you know, the balancing became so out of whack, they just started reworking everything, and now the game sucks. Now, not every game completely has that problem. I'd say, for example, Paladins does it actually really well, but we're cycling back now. Again, some games do it well, but you still sometimes have this over-reliance on certain characters. And while I would say the whole, that, you know, the how the game plays and how guns work is Call of Duty in this game helps with the whole offensive part, one thing I noticed is that xDefiant is so heavily skewed towards defensive. It's kind of insane if you stop for it. Like, if you go over the, you know, first 5 launch factions that came out at launch, you have the Phantoms, who are like quite literally 2 variants of shields. They are there to block bullets. Libertad is there to heal. They're quite literally the healers. They one of the best things to use them is you bunch up in a corner and they heal you really, really well. Cool. Sure, you can use them to a degree offensively. That, you know, like Phantoms is a more defensive class. They are more, you know, support role, but still, in defense they're the strongest. Echelon is, well, yeah, you have a stealth suit and you know, for infiltration, and, you know, you can scan the area for enemies. That is supportive, but still, you know, not really offensive oriented. And that sec is, you literally hack enemy stuff. Like, it's literally disabling other abilities. That is like the most control faction they have. The only launch faction they had that were offensive were the Cleaners, and all of their abilities is they either are a short range skill shot, a short range almost suicide attack, and a flamethrower. Yes, they had extra DPS on their attacks, but not much. That's more like ironically, you kill gear with that. They are the only offensive faction in the whole game at launch. And their offensive capabilities are very skill-based. You had 4 other factions just to support and counter offensive actions. And in Season 1, you got the fucking GSG-9 who were, and I kid you not, electric barbed wire, so area denial, a very defensive ability, and anti-grenade spam, another very defensive ability, and their ultimate was a shield. Sure, you could use that offensively, but also holy shit, were those... yeah, I know why the game felt weird during Season 1 and why I and a lot of people jumped off. It was just a very stalematey, grindy game. You didn't have anything to break through, really. Because you had one faction that was kinda offensive, and 5 others that were just designed to counter everything. But here's the interesting part. Now the Highwaymen are in, and you have a faction that literally gets more fire rate the more they kill people, and reload speed, and movement speed, and healing speed. They have a grenade launcher and an auto-aim turret. In every other game, if they would be at launch, they would be probably an overtuned nightmare that that everyone else would be like, how the fuck are you going to supposed to balance them? But here, well, they basically came into defensive creep the game. So yes, you can have a faction that is actually really powerful, because what are you going to do? DedSec will just hack them, the grenades will be denied, and there are just walls everywhere. That actually works. Ironically, because xDefiant is a very defensive-oriented game, they can actually fit in some very offensive classes that can actually be fun because they can be so offensive-oriented. Well, again, the downside was they made the game with Season 1 like so defensive that it probably was just a slog to play, and like, yeah, that was it kinda. But still, and this is probably the thing where I'm like, I do not know where the assassins will fall in. From what we know, they are basically the spies from Team Fortress 2. No, seriously, they have an ability apparently to cloak themselves as enemies. It's gonna be an absolute shit show depending on how that works out. But then, yeah, and if you're like, oh, but what's the next faction afterwards? It's the Ghost Recon Wolves. They have tank builds with shields. We're back with the defensive roles, baby. Support, infiltration, and defensive are coming next. Anyway, that was just a bit talking about design. Like, I don't know if that is actually the right way to do it, but it's actually interesting to see because, yeah, I think if you make a class-based game, stacking defensive and support first, and then just slowly adding some offensive capabilities is maybe the better approach than everything else. Now, this is going out to Agonia. You want to stream some Frontier?
We could.
I just was like, you know what, I don't know, I don't want to end now. And I feel weird before I go to bed, so...
Oh, we will do stuff before you go to bed anyway.
Is that a threat?
It's a promise.
Okay, you know what, everyone? Just a second, we will switch streams. I will just shortly deactivate it and then come back, and then we're playing some Monster Hunter Frontier, actually. Ooh. Yeah, I just want to show it off a bit. And you're with me then, so yeah.